Hi everyone, welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to work on the wicker panels. As you can see here, I have previously tried to make some. We did this at an event and it went together reasonably easy, and I'll cut in a photo of that. And was quite happy with how it turned out, except the whole transport issue. Obviously wicker panels or any this sort of fencing would be made in place and doesn't have to be packed up and shipped around the country, which is what I'm going to have to be doing with this thing. So while the construction of a wicker hurdle or panel would ordinarily be quite simple, I need to come up with a way of doing this so that it can be transported and not fall apart on me. The initial thoughts were to just grab some little bits of wire and use that to help tie the ends together and a bit of a cross brace so that it wouldn't move around, but that quickly tore itself apart when it's getting jostled around in the back of a trailer. So my current thoughts are to make an actual frame, the timber frame that goes around the outside. The top and bottom will have holes drilled into it for the vertical members to go in, slide into, and then down both sides there'll be a groove where we can weave in the ends of the willow rods. So I'll take you along as we go and figure out how all the sizes and how I'm actually going to build it. So I guess to start with, the willow rods come in a packet. You get these from Bunnings. It's a fence panel and they're all tied together with wire, and our job is we've got to separate them all out, and they do slide out from the fat end first. They pull out quite easily, and then we're left with the willow rod, and this is about 1800 long, and ideally it would get an 1800 wide hurdle. And based on how much denser these get packed down compared to in the fencing panel over there, out of each pack I can get two 600 high hurdles. But what we need to take into account is the framing material and the box that we're going to build around this. So for that, my current thoughts are to use a sleeper. Which I have here. Now obviously this isn't period, this timber, it's all treated, but given our environment and it'll be out in the rain and transported around, I want something that's not going to rot out on me. So we're using some treated pine, and the reason why I'm choosing the sleeper is because I've got it around. Basically I don't have to make a special trip to the shops. And I'm currently thinking it's 200 by 50. If I cut this into 4 bits lengthwise, I can have a 50 by 50 bit of treated pine frame around the outside. Of course I'll be dressing that up, and I've got some plans for the future video where I'll show you how to make a oil-based paint, and we'll get this all covered up so it'll look and probably match in quite closely with the colour of the willow. So while the rods are 1800 long, this sleeper is 2.4 meters long. So if I want to try and maximize what I get out of here, if I make it 1800, that will give me 600 left on here to make the vertical height. And I think I might actually misspoken. These panels I can get 900 high, which is what I want to do. So ideally I want 900 high by 1800. But if I take the 900 dimension off here, that only leaves me with 1500, which is a little shorter, but that's going to be a good thing, I think, because not all of these are 1800 long. Some of them are a little bit shorter, and towards the end they do get a little skinny. So that gives us the ability to chop it off and make sure they all fit in. And also, if you make the panel 1800 long, these rods are bending in and out, so they don't actually, they become a little bit shorter because of that bending action. And the other good thing, if I do make it 1500, I've measured the width of my trailer and it's 1530 wide on the inside. So what that means is I can actually stack them flat along the short dimension, which is something very important whenever you're making stuff, because we've got to transport it around, design it to fit in the spaces that you have. So with that all being said, what I'm going to do is start chopping up this. I'll rip it down into 4 equal lengths, and then we'll chop off the 900 dimension, and then we'll have enough out of this one sleeper to make 2 hurdles, which is 1 whole roll of the fencing material. So I do have enough willow rod here to make 4, but we'll start with the first 2 and see how they work. Okay, so we've cut them down into four equal pieces. So being 200 thick, these are each slightly less than 50 mil because we have to allow for the thickness of the blade. So now we got them down to size, and the fact that we're using treated pine, we still don't want it to look modern. So what I'm going to do is use the hand plane and try and finish it up. I'm going to try and anything that we make, I'm going to try and make sure it's finished by hand to get that get the more appropriate look. So just from the shop, obviously the outside of the sleeper has this rough mill finish here, and then where we've cut it, we get the circular saw blade marks. So what I'm going to do is plane this all down flat and then plane a chamfer on the corners, and it should come out looking pretty smooth. Okay, so I'll bring you in close here to the finished product. I've done two lengths. So this should make one panel, hurdle panel. You can see it's nice and smooth. Got the chamfered corners. It's not exactly perfect, there are some imperfections there. But it still looks pretty good to me, and more than good enough for what I need here. Oops, might need to take a little bit more of that. But I didn't cover it before either, but you can go out and buy dress pine that will look similar to this from Bunnings or your local hardware, and it'll be ridiculously expensive. This one sleeper was about $17, and yeah, it's a little bit extra work, but you can cut it all up, plan it up, and have it look like the dress stuff for a fraction of the cost. And you'll see here I've lost most of the green, the treatment off of it, but it is still got a slight green tinge to it. So there is a little bit of protection because of that, so it's a little bit better than the raw timber. And then when we finish it with the paint, oil-based paint, it will be more than enough for what we need it for. So from here, what I'm going to do is cut it up on the chop saw to the dimensions that we need, and then lay it out on the floor and double check everything is going to fit. So because I cut the miter like this, could actually get a little bit longer than 1500. So the maximum trailer width I can do is 1530. So I've just made this long one exactly equal to 1530, and we've got a 900 high. So just cut up the other one now. Make sure you use the first one as a template. Make sure you get it exactly right. Obviously my saw's a bit special without the guard on it. Make sure you use your safety protection. Okay, so we've got our miter corners cut. We've got our frame. I'm just doing some initial layout. I think what I'm going to do is allow for 5 vertical, sticks. So what will happen, these will be cut to length with, and then they'll be, I'll get the correct drill size and just rebate them in halfway into the top and bottom of the panel. And each of those holes will be sized as close as possible to the actual branch so that we don't get water and whatnot building up in there. And then on the vertical edges, I'll have to cut a rebate, once again about half the width of the panel, and that'll be a centimetre thick or so, and that will be for the ends to tuck into. So yeah, 5 holes top and bottom, and then 2 rebates. What's next? And then in addition to that, we still don't want it spinning around, so we need to work in some cross bracing. So my plan for that is this fencing wire, and I'm going to run that through the middle of the panel, so hopefully it'll be mostly disguised by all the wattle rods, and it will run through the joint there and bend over and lock itself in. So the intent is that frame is in nice and solid, won't go anywhere, and should hold itself together. So I'll go and drill the holes and cut the rebates and come back and you can see what it looks like after that. So I've just done the first one with ratting the edges in, and yeah, made a big whoopsie way out the side. So power tools are great, and don't let anyone discourage you from using power tools. We're all busy, so we're doing this in our spare time, but I do dislike them based on the noise that they make and how quickly you can stuff things up. That's right, we can fix this, it's not an issue, but it's just a good warning. So what I did here, I did try and use the router. I did use the router on this. I did try going full depth in the first go, which was obviously ambitious, and then it skidded all over the place. I then went down and did it in 3 layers, which worked, except I got distracted here and wandered off the side path. That's unfortunate, but that's right, we'll dress it up and it'll be okay. It has left a sharp edge here, so I'm going to use the plane and bevel that off like I did the other ones, the outside edges. Let's do that quickly now. That should make it easier on the fingers and better for the willow rods to go in. I'll try and do a time lapse of the next one so you can see the process. So I did much better on that one. Did have one slight little slip here, but you can barely see it. So that one's okay. This one's annoying, but I'll just go and patch this now before we go much further. Alright, so it doesn't look pretty at the moment, but it'll serve the purpose. I've cut a small section of old fence paling that I had around the place, and just a bunch of sawdust and glue. And I'll once that's dry, I'll come back and reroute this, trying not to go outside this time, and then it should be as good as the other one, ready to go. Hi everyone. So I stopped the video for a little bit, just so I could make some progress because it was getting a bit late in the day. I've managed to get the five uprights in, drilled some holes, had to do a bit of whittling on the ends of the uprights to make sure they fit in alright. I then pre-drilled and screwed the corners in, and I was actually pretty happy with how robust it was just with the screws and no wire. So I'm going to actually leave the bracing off because it's going to be good enough for what we need. And I've actually started threading some in just to see how it goes, and it works out quite well. So it's quite easy to bring it in from the end. So let's push it in at the fat end, tuck it down, and come through with the secateurs and cut off the end, and then just tuck that in, and then rinse and repeat the other way. So I'll hold it up so you can get a better look. So obviously that's just the start of it. It's quite neat. I had one break off here on me, but we'll replace that. It's all tucked away. So this is about as far as I'm going to get today. The next thing to do is I'll make the second one. I'll make them in batches of 2 because I've already got this timber cut out. So now I know what I'm doing. It should go a bit quicker. So I'll make up the other frame and get it to this point, and then what I'll do is unscrew this so I can then go take these out and paint this. So the next video, which will hopefully be next weekend, I'll start up then when we pull this apart, and we'll start painting it, and I'll take you through the process of making that paint and how that goes. So that's it for this week. I will catch you next time.